Today's unSeminary resource is brought to you by Aware 3. At Aware 3, their goal is to help your church build connections using mobile technology. They help you extend church beyond Sunday mornings by putting it in the palm of everyone's hand. Learn more about how a custom mobile app can help you improve engagement, communication, and generosity at www.aware3, that's the number 3.com.
Welcome to the unSeminary podcast. Are you looking for practical ministry help to drive your ministry further, faster? Have a sinking feeling that your ministry training didn't prepare you for the real world? Hey, you're not alone. Join thousands of others in pursuit of stuff that we wish they had taught in seminary. Buckle up and let's get started with this week's unSeminary podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to the unSeminary podcast. My name's Rich. I'm the host here, and I am just so glad that you've decided to plug in. Every week we try to bring you different church leaders who, from a wide variety of backgrounds, to give us some really practical insights. And I got to be honest, I've been excited about this particular guest for a while now. We're welcoming Katie Allred from Brentwood Baptist, which is kind of on the outskirts of Nashville. Brentwood's a fantastic church if you don't know that, and you're about to find out that Katie's pretty amazing. So, Katie, welcome to the show.
Hey, that was a really nice introduction.
Nice.
I don't think I deserve that, but I appreciate it.
Nice. Now, why don't you tell us about Brentwood? Tell us about the church and kind of tell us about your role there.
Sure. So Brentwood is awesome. I mean, I've volunteered at a lot of churches. I never had worked at a church before Brentwood, but I had volunteered at several churches growing up and in college. And there is just not a lot of places that are like Brentwood. Mm-hmm. I say that because Brentwood is so innovative in the way that they think, and also we're very much set up like a corporation. Like tomorrow, if Mike Glenn, our pastor, decides he hates me, he can't fire me.
Okay.
Like, yeah. Like there's like too many like checks and balances kind of set up to where he doesn't have all the power. Right. Which is really awesome.
Because you can do all kinds of crazy communication stuff that
no, and actually, he's actually at the forefront of being the one like I don't know, like challenging me to be like, why aren't you doing like this? I mean, not that he necessarily knows all of it, but that he's always like, let's see if we can do this better. Yeah. Like he just started getting his manuscript for the Sunday like 10 days before me.
That's
we
great.
have like it's a huge chunk of the manuscript. It's not like word for word or anything, but like it's incredible that he is thinking. He's like, it's all just about calendaring. He's like, that doesn't mean the Holy Spirit can't move and I can't, but he was like, let's go ahead and give you enough stuff, so that you can have enough content created for the web, for social media, and for to prompt me to create blog posts and those kind of things, rather than waiting till the last minute or Thursday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he was like, let's just figure it out. So, he took his vacation time to actually get ahead.
Oh, wow.
Which
Nice.
Which is incredible of a pastor. He had a 2-week vacation time. And I mean, he just had a granddaughter and all this kind of stuff. And he took his vacation time to try to get ahead of his scheduling, which was really incredible. But he's always the one who's thinking of stuff like I mean, I could have thought of that, but it would have been hard for me to propose, like, hey, don't you want to, write your manuscript for Sunday 10 days ahead of time?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, how about you work ahead so that I can make sure the tweets are all ready to go? That's a hard thing for a communications person to say, for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, but the thing is that he totally gets it.
Right.
And he loves it. And he's very passionate about it.
Very cool.
And so that has made my job incredibly easy.
Nice.
Where I don't spend a lot of time convincing people to do things. I spend more time thinking of what can we do.
Right.
It's because,
cool.
So that's pretty neat. I mean, there are definitely times where I feel like, there are, of course, ministers on our staff that don't get it. Mm-hmm. And so I spend some time thinking about how can I make them get it. Mm-hmm. But, there's definitely a lot more time spent doing that. But Brentwood, I want to go back to actually what Brentwood is. We're a Baptist church, probably one of the largest Baptist churches. Mm-hmm. And we're right smack dab, we're right under Nashville. So we have a lot of country music singers that go to our church. So our music is really phenomenal. We're really well known in the choir music world. Like, if you ever heard Brad Paisley's Southern Comfort Zone, there's a choir singing in the background. That's our choir.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
So, yeah, I think that's like, hidden things that people don't know.
Nice.
Actually goes to our church. I mean, Brad goes to our church too, but his dad is part of our choir. And so we just have really awesome, like, I don't know, choir music and contemporary music too. And so, yeah. So Brentwood's just a really phenomenal place. We have this thing going on called the Middle Tennessee Initiative, which is our pastor's vision for reaching Middle Tennessee. It's kind of like New Springs reach 100,000. But we don't have a number on ours. Maybe we should. But ours is like affecting healthcare, poverty, and education.
That's amazing.
Those are our three things that we want to change about Middle Tennessee. So, like, because there shouldn't be children hungry in Williamson County. We're the 10th richest area in the nation, but there are still children that are hungry in our county.
Crazy.
And so we have ministries that do that, like Cultivate, which is a ministry that helps grow food for the needy. We have a missions garden in our backyard. It's about like an acre, and it's all the food's like about 80% of the food's given away. And that's just done by our members. We didn't even come up with that idea.
Nice.
And we were like, yeah, we'll give you the land to do that. So,
well, that's cool. From what I know, just from a distance, watching you guys, following you guys, I really do think you're such an innovative church doing a lot of great things. I really would encourage folks to check it out. What's your role there at the church? When people say, what do you do? What do you respond to them?
Yeah, so I'm the web content manager is my technical title.
Yep.
And I am in charge of web, email, and social media.
Nice.
And so a lot of my job, though, is delegated to administrative assistants in a way. So I don't spend all my day like putting in events on our calendar on our website. Right. I used to actually, and I luckily found a way to make that not a thing I do anymore.
Yes, nice.
So if anybody's interested in that.
Effective delegation.
Yeah. So finally, because we have probably like 20 AAs. I mean, like 10 or maybe 10. We have quite a few. And so and they want to do it. It's not that they didn't want to do it, because then it gets on there faster. They can communicate it with their people better. Yep. And so it's not like they didn't want to do it. It was just like I was a throttle, like I was a bottleneck,
Right.
And I don't get me wrong, like there were times when I wish they had maybe went through us because I could proofread it.
Right. Nice.
But at the same time, it just was so much better for them to be able to at least get it out the door, and then we can proofread it after the fact. So, nice. So that's kind of what I do.
Now, we talked about earlier about how, obviously a part of your role, you're trying to keep up with, like, hey, we need to keep people connected, trying to get them to use social media, use those tools to reach out. And, you kind of intimated there that there's obviously a part of your community or part of your team that's like fully into it. Yes, this is great. And then there's a part of your team that's maybe a little more on the dragging the feet side of the equation, maybe don't see it as important. What do you say to those leaders that are thinking, I don't know that I really want to share on, social media, whatever that would be, Facebook, Twitter, that sort of thing. How do you handle that?
Yeah, there are a lot of lurkers I found out on social media. There's a lot of people who love to just read social media, but they don't like to input into it. And, I would say that, to those people, like, or to even our ministers, like you're not being authentic with your people if you're not sharing, because those people are sharing with you. And so, I mean, social media is about being social. So, and we have this awesome platform. I mean, I can believe that if Paul was here today, he would say, not just to the ends of the earth, but, to the ends of Twitter. Like, why are we not sharing when we have this fantastic tool to share the gospel online? So, I mean, you should definitely be sharing, and not just your thoughts on your blog. Like, people are not natively going to your blog.
No, true.
Like, let's be honest here. True. Like, they're not. And so if you don't have this huge platform that you've built to come to your blog and like signed up for your email newsletter, I would say let's share that content on Facebook first. And let's grow your platform there. And then we can maybe transition you into a blog. But if you're not writing consistently on Facebook, and that's just like a normal thing, I feel like at this point, if you're not doing that, then you're not going to do it on a blog at all. So, and the thing is, like, I just hate, like, I think the gospel is so important. Like, and so it's the best news that we can give people. And if we're not sharing that on social media, then why are we on it at all? So, and that was something that was a personal challenge to me this last year. In June, I did Proverbs through my own personal Facebook. I did it through Facebook Live.
Okay.
So I read a proverb every day. And, it was really, really great. And I got a lot of good response from it. And I got a lot of messages from people I hadn't seen since elementary school. And just people, and, I didn't break it down. I didn't like devotionalize it afterwards.
Okay.
I
just literally just read it.
I just read it. Yeah. I just read it and let it be,
Right.
and then and I sometimes turned red because there's a lot of stuff about promiscuous women in Proverbs I didn't know about.
Okay.
I didn't see that was coming. Solomon.
That's funny.
Anyway, so it was mostly me just like turning red and feeling awkward. But then I prayed at the end. I always prayed, and I always asked people if they had any prayer requests. I would love to pray for them. And so I did that a couple of times. I think it's so important to let people see you pray. And here's the thing. I don't want to be a Pharisee on a street corner praying out loud. I think there's an important part of being authentic and being like, I am not perfect at this, like, and admitting that, because I think that's, obviously that's one of the most important parts of prayer is confession, and just saying, I'm not very good at this, and this feels awkward for me.
Yes.
But at the same time, there's something so I just don't want to be a person who says, I'm going to pray for you, and just says, I want to be a person who stops and does it.
Right. Absolutely.
And so, and that's something I'm working on in my own personal life too, is that, when somebody says, I need you to pray for this, I just would rather just stop right then and let's just do it. Because why not?
Right.
Like, what's stopping us besides my own, besides me not being brave, there is no reason not to go ahead and do it.
Yeah,
because he's listening. We're both there.
Absolutely. That actually sparked something I had a friend say to me this week. They said, so many church leaders seem to be using social media as like a broadcast medium. Whether they're even doing that kind of thing, which I think is fantastic. This isn't criticism of that. I love that. But have you encouraged, or do you encourage your ministers, or the folks on your team to also be looking for opportunities to serve people on Facebook? So for instance, like maybe you see people are going through a certain issue in their life, reaching out to them saying, hey, can I pray for you now? Or maybe escalating the level of intimacy from I seeing it on Facebook to like I'm going to text you and talk to you about it. Are you seeing that happening either at your church or other churches?
Personally, I don't have any stories of that happen besides through our Facebook page. Now, in our Facebook page, I've been asking every week for how can we be praying for you, and I've been praying for them through the church's page, which I don't like. I would prefer that to be an individual, so there's a face connected.
Yep.
And so I'm trying to convince the prayer team to get on that.
Yeah.
But because they're already doing it anyway, might as well do it on social media anyway. But that's besides the point. That's my own personal tangent.
Yeah.
But we did have one person who came and said, I'm having surgery on this date, and I connected them with the deacon team, and the deacon team went to visit them at the hospital, and they had never come to our church before.
Oh, very cool. Love that.
So yeah. So that was a really cool, easy connection. Not, we didn't have to really go out of our way to seek it. It was just me being faithful to always remember to go and look and pray with someone, and to think, they're a real person. I could connect them with a real person here. So I didn't know that they didn't go to our church either until after the fact. So, so that's an easy way. That's an easy way to get people connected. So
yeah. And did you see the difference between, or what is the difference have you seen between, because you kind of mentioned it there, the difference between kind of the corporate, we've got a page, that's our church, and then there's the individual, pastors, platforms on social media. And one thing I've noticed is it seems like people's individual pages get more traction than, our corporate page. And have you seen that? And then have you tried to, or how are you trying to leverage that or encourage your, your staff, your pastors, ministers to leverage that for the ministry?
Yeah. And that was actually something we had a meeting about yesterday.
Oh, nice.
It was, can we get our pastors to share links about events? Now, this is not about the gospel. And that was something that bothered me too, was I was like, if we're going to teach our ministers to share stuff from our website, I would prefer for you to teach them how to share the gospel online. But because if they're not doing that first, how are they going to have any reach anyways with promotional events?
Right.
But yeah, I think, we just need to, I think I lost my train of thought there.
No, it's fine. So what have you seen a difference between kind of them sharing personally? Does that get more traction, frankly, versus the, the kind of corporate page?
Right. Yes. Yes, it does. And that's just true about the Facebook algorithm in general, is that Facebook wants to be social. It wants to be social between people. So pages, they want pages to pay, money. So that is why all those kind of things will get squashed, like a link or something like that will get squashed, where if a person shares it, it definitely has a lot more reach than what we have. But that depends completely upon how many friends they have on social media too. You could tell your ministers to share it, but if they don't have any friends because they think they have a public and personal persona, then that's going to be totally different. I think there's a lot of that going on too in ministers' lives, where they feel like their Facebook is personal, it's not their public persona. And I'm like, it is your public persona. Anything, like, I can still Google it. Like, that is your public persona, no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely.
And why would you be different? Like, why? Like,
What is that saying?
At what point are you like, because when you see me and what you get online is what you get in person. Like, I don't know how to be any different. But at the same time, I grew up with it, so I don't think online is totally separate from my real life. Like, because my online friends are just as every bit my friends as my real life friends. So, or my in-person friends.
Yes.
So we just have to make a switch. It's definitely a generational gap, and then it's a little bit of a, also a ministerial, like, I have a public and a personal, like, life or whatever.
We've said, and I've done this a number of times with our, when we post things corporately, like, let's say we post a promotional video about something that's coming up, or, I try to do this sparingly, but when it's like a particularly hot piece of content, or I'll notice on Facebook, hey, something seems to be trending, it seems to be gaining traction, I'll send an email out to my team with a direct link that says, hey, can you please like, comment, and share on this? Can you interact with this piece of content? And not all the time, but often I'll remind people in those emails, listen, this helps us get the word out. Just you interacting with this content will help us connect with more people. And so it may not seem like a big deal to you to go and like, comment, and share on it, but it does make a difference. And you can see that, and it doesn't take a lot. If I can get even 20 people, which is, in most churches, you could get 20 people who will like, comment, and share on something. Even with just 20 people interacting on it, it's amazing the difference it makes. Have you tried those kinds of things? And what would you say to someone who pushes back and says, oh, I won't do that?
I have tried that before, and I haven't had a ton of success in the area. I think, if I did it, the thing is, the email I was sending had a ton of different things on it. So I think if I just focused on one, that might really help. So, that's actually a pretty good idea. Maybe I'll steal it.
Good. Yeah, well, that's good.
Just focus on one, maybe. And email them and ask them. And also getting them to not just copy and paste something over, but to just like and share what the church has already said would be is a really good strategy.
Nice.
And then what was the second question?
I was just wondering, what would you say to someone who's resistant to that, saying, hey, I'm not interested, but you said, hey, you haven't that, because I know everyone at Brentwood, they just say, Katie, what can we do? How can we help?
Yeah, they're always really excited about helping. If they're resistant to change, I feel like a lot of times, though, Mike Glenn will put them. No, I'm just kidding. Our pastor will be like, no, you should listen. Nah, nice. But I think I don't know. Like I said earlier, I feel like it's just too important at this point.
Absolutely.
So
it's our public facing. It's what Paul would do. I love that, word he was using. They wrote in the language of the day and used even the roads of the day to connect. They used the social network of the day, which was the roads, to go and take the gospel to the ends of the earth. Those roads were built by the Romans, their oppressors. And they used that structure, that network, ultimately to connect people. Because I think there can be folks that are resistant because they're like, well, so much bad happens on Facebook, which is true. I know I had heard this one statistic that I think it's a third. I need to check it. I think it's a third of all divorce filings now are referencing some level of social media interaction.
Oh, wow.
Whether it's like they're talking to their old girlfriends or whatever.
Yeah,
and so people will be like, hey, I'm not interested in that. But we can leverage those, in the same way, Paul leveraged the Roman roads, which obviously were tools of oppression for the Jews, to try to extend the gospel. So that's good. Is there anything else you want to share before we move on to the rest of the episode?
Yeah, well, you were saying something about how it was the Roman road and that kind of thing. Like it. I think also Paul wrote letters. So what else should we be doing besides writing updates? I mean, it's the same kind of thing. Just because Paul was the first to tell you I am not perfect at this.
Right,
So it's not like he completely knew what he was doing. Like, don't elevate. I mean, I'm not saying that Paul isn't awesome, because he is. He wrote half of the New Testament.
Yes.
But at the same time, like, you have the same spirit of the Lord in you that Paul had. So like, don't think, who am I and like, what can I do? Like, I think you're perfectly capable of spreading the gospel too. And I think, also, I think that we're on the cusp of some really cool things that could happen if we're just willing and we're just listening, because I think the next revival is going to happen because of the internet. And so we have to figure out like how to do that, but we also just have to be so willing to do it,
This is the unSeminary podcast. Stuff you wish they taught in seminary.
Well, we're going to jump into the lightning round, that part of the episode where we ask similar questions of everybody that's on the show. Super happy to have Katie Allred with us today from Brentwood Baptist Church. Katie, what is an online resource that you're using these days that's helping you in your ministry?
So I'm going to say my Facebook group.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Tell us about this. This is part of the reason why you're on. So please tell us about your Facebook group.
Yeah. So before I had the Facebook group, nobody knew who I was.
Right.
Yep. But for real, like, I mean, whatever, people, I didn't care. Like, I wasn't trying to build a platform. I just really wanted a way to ask people questions and for other people to be able to ask questions. So yeah, the Facebook group is called Church Communications. You can just type that into Facebook and it's usually pretty easy to find if you click groups. So, me and Daryl had the idea to start maybe making a website and stuff with some stuff we were learning, and we went back and forth on how would be the best way to get a hold of people, and we talked about email lists because that was something we were used to doing, like making opt-ins and that kind of stuff. And then I love forums. I had actually done forum administration from like when I was a kid. I was in a Harry Potter forum and I was doing forum administration. Yep. Yeah, back in the day, we wanted an award from J.K. Rowling, which is just totally random.
Very cool.
So yeah. So I mean, I love forums, and I love like the relationships that can come out of them. And so I wanted to make a group, but I was so afraid. And fears is the worst, like, killer of all joy. So I just really didn't want to do it. But Daryl was like, let's just do it and see what happens. So Daryl really kind of pushed me over, and so I went ahead and did it, and then we shared it through his email list, which he had like okay email list. Just kidding, he has a good email list. And we shared it on Church Mag and a couple other places, and before we knew it, we had 1,000 members, and now we have like 3,600. So that's just wild. It's been it's been since January, I guess.
Right.
So 9 months, but yeah, it's just going like crazy.
It's amazing. It's great. It really is a great resource if you're really any church leader who's looking for help on communications. It's a great place, a great community. You guys have done a good job, really stewarding the community and, kicking out people who are just there to spam and, or not kicking out, gently, turning their stuff off, and, which is great, and it's there's always great content, great interaction. It's a really supportive community. So I'd strongly recommend, if you're a church leader listening in, that even if communications isn't your primary thing, that's all you do, it really is a great resource, for you, for sure. What's a book you've read in the last, I don't know, maybe 6 months that shaped your thinking or your ministry?
Sure. So, I'm going to mention two, if that's good.
Great, yeah.
I'm going off the kilter. So I read What's Best Next, and I actually read it maybe more than 6 months ago, but it's a really great book. I can't remember who it's by at the moment, but you can just look up whatsbestnext.com. I think that's the website. He is actually a guy from John Piper's stuff, and he made this gospel-centered productivity. So, there's Dave Allen's getting things done. This is like getting things done, but with the gospel. And so it definitely changes the way you think about it. I think, getting things done, and there's some other books, about productivity. It feels so much about hustle and not a lot about rest, which I think, maybe they're supposed to like make you be more restful because you're writing all these lists down and marking things off. But what's best next just kind of changes your thinking about, you know, what this work is, and that is good work, even the work that you don't think is good work. You know, in the Bible, it talks about we're created to do good works. And so you're always thinking, well, a good work is helping a lady cross the street, an elderly lady help, you know, like, and you're not, you know, you can't do that every day.
Right.
You know, like you're not always in Africa feeding a needy child.
Right.
But there are things that you're doing today in your everyday life, like raising your children and, you know, tweeting.
Yes.
That are good works.
Yes.
You know,
Yep.
that God still considers to be good works. And so it's such a neat way of flipping your thinking.
Yep.
And then I've been reading the originals by Adam Grant, and I really love it too. It has a lot of challenging things that I'm like, oh yeah, if people just thought about it this way.
Yes.
But I really like, there's this one quote, and I'm not even halfway through the book yet. I've just been like highlighting everything. So I really do recommend it. He says, Eric Dane, who's a professor, he finds that the more expertise and experience people gain, the more entrenched they become in a particular way of viewing the world. He points to studies showing that expert bridge players struggled more than novices to adapt when the rules were changed, and that expert accountants were worse than novices at applying a new tax law. And as we gain knowledge about a domain, we become prisoners of our prototypes. And that, I feel like in church communications, is huge. I mean, it's just the same thing as this is the way we've always done it.
Yes. Yep.
And
So
it's
true.
like the same thinking.
Yep.
And the thing is about Facebook and about it's changing all the time.
Yep.
The algorithms and stuff are changing all the time. So you can't say, well, you know, images have always worked for us, so we're always going to share images.
Right.
Because video now is working better than images. But that's not to say it will always be that way,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And so you have to be willing to change your thinking about how we share content. And then, you know, also just that flipping of thinking of, you know, the church needs to share and promote all these events, when really it should be the ministers who are sharing and promoting all of these events. So you really have to like flip your thinking, like, because I know they're thinking, well, Katie's hired to do all that, like,
Right.
but the thing is, like, we're all hired to do all that.
Yes. Exactly.
So, I'm just here to help you. Like,
Right. Absolutely.
I'm here to be a resource for you, but you know, at the end of the day, like if you want your event to like really blow up, or if you want the gospel to go further, it's on you too. It's not just on, you know, the marketing communications team.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
which is, I think, revolutionary thinking for some ministers. They're like, it's not just about, you know, them. You mean I need to do things too? Yes,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You can't do it all, for sure. What's another ministry that inspires you that you're looking at? You're like, hey, they're kind of doing a cool job.
Yeah, I would love Church Marketing Sucks. The guys over at Church Marketing Sucks. They're great, and I actually met quite a few of them. I went on the Creative Missions thing this last year. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Yes, yeah,
But yeah. So they go and help churches in need of communications stuff around the country. And so we were in Vermont this last year, and it was just incredible. And so I'm just super inspired by what they're doing, and just the ministry that they've created. I just think it's really awesome.
Nice. If you could get 15 minutes with any leader alive, who would you want to get that with, and why?
Well, so there's this guy, his name is Brian Harris. He's from Video Fruit, videofruit.com. And he actually lives here he lives in Franklin, Tennessee. So it's not like he lives very far away. I'm always afraid I'm going to run into him at Walmart and be like, fangirled, you know,
oh my goodness.
Like, oh my gosh, you're like, because I've run into John Acuff a couple times before, and I know he knows who I am because we met at events, but I thought he doesn't remember me ever, so I'm always like, what do I say anything?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so Brian Harris, he's just such a cool guy. He puts out so much good content about like creating email lists and the value of email lists and the value of good content and how to create good content. He's just a really genuine guy too. I feel like he's very authentic. He's definitely I wouldn't say he's an oversharer, but I like how he shares so much that you're intrigued.
Right.
So yeah, he's definitely someone to watch. I love like his he's just really good at copywriting and that kind of stuff. So yeah,
very cool.
I think he's pretty awesome.
Nice. Great. Good stuff. Well, I know that keeping on top of everything that you're doing there at the church is hard. When you just want to kind of kick back, relax a little bit, what is it you do? How does Katie Allred relax?
I pull peaches.
Nice.
So I'm originally from Clanton, Alabama, so I kind of grew up in the middle of nowhere. And so we're known for our peaches. So
Nice.
I do a lot of cooking,
Nice.
which seems like a total Southern girl thing to do.
You're playing to the
I
stereotype.
like it. So I love casseroles.
Nice.
So I make a lot of websites. I write some blogs. I wish I wrote more blogs.
Nice.
That's definitely a thing where I'm like, I wish I could do better at it. So
Right.
yeah. I also sell some stuff on eBay, which is just
Nice. What, did you have a certain niche on eBay that you sell?
No, not at all. I'm definitely more of just like, oh, I have this thing, let's just sell it. Or I'll go to like yard sales and buy stuff, and I'll be like, I bet I can sell this on eBay for more.
Nice. Nice.
So yeah, I'm always thinking of selling stuff. It's like I don't know if it's the entrepreneur in me, or like
totally.
I grew up in an entrepreneurial family, so I grew up thinking like, I can double this if I just do this to it. I don't know. So
yeah. Cool. Well, Katie, I really appreciate you being on the show. If people want to get in touch with the church or want to kind of check you out, how could they do that? We'll link to the church communications group on the show notes, but any other way that people could get in touch?
Yeah, so on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and Snapchat, even though I'm never on Snapchat because I'm on the church's Snapchat, you can find me on Katie J. Allred is usually it, and then my website is katieallred.com.
Nice.
No J. I should probably buy that domain name before somebody else does. There's a zombie series about Katie Allred too, if you want to check that out.
That's
not
fun.
about me, but if you SEO me, that's what you're going to find. So, and then the church is just BrentwoodBaptist.com.
Nice.
And for the most part, we're Brentwood Baptist for most things, except we're Brentwood BC, I think, on Twitter because of how short things are.
Nice.
So,
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Katie. I really appreciate you being on the show today.
yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's unSeminary podcast. Don't be shy. We'd love to connect. Check out unSeminary Inbox. You can sign up at unSeminary.com, and we'll send you helpful training resources every week. Plus, you'll gain immediate access to our exclusive members area with tons of resources you can use. Connect with Rich on Twitter at Rich Birch or through email, rich@unseminary.com. Don't forget to check out the show notes for this episode at unseminary.com. It includes links to what we talked about today and more. Leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Did you enjoy today's episode? Drop by iTunes and leave a review. Thanks again for tuning in to this week's unSeminary podcast. Join us next week when we'll learn more stuff we wish they taught in seminary.